Hello, all, and welcome to episode number 5 of Zach's Tech Talk Tuesday. My name is Ryan McQueeney. I'm a content writer here at Zach's, and as a reminder, Tech Talk Tuesday is our show for all of our tech-focused investors out there. Remember to subscribe and leave a rating on Apple Podcasts if you enjoy the show. Today, we're going to be focusing on the telecommunication industry's emerging tech trend, 5G data. The term 5G is actually just short for fifth generation mobile networks, and it refers to the proposed telecommunication standards that will replace the current 4G standards. Now, for those of you who only know 4G as the little symbol that's either in the top corner of your phone or not, and it tells you whether your mobile internet speeds are going to be good or not, you're not totally far off on what 4G is, but just as a quick bit of info, it does have certain parameters to it. So it's actually a standard of what can be marketed as 4G. So these standards are set up by units within the International Telecommunication Union, which works with other groups like 3GPP to agree on global standards for what can be marketed as 3G, 4G, and LTE networks. So everywhere you go in the world, 4G is at least a certain speed. One of the main goals of this next generation, the 5G rollout, will be to provide faster internet speeds for users. So if you can imagine, internet users, especially mobile internet users, have different needs than they did when 4G debuted a few years ago. So, for example, the advent of digital video streaming has clogged networks a bit, slowed down customers who want access to video streaming services like Netflix on the go. The idea of using these services, especially as much as that they are used now, on a mobile network was it wasn't impossible, but it was certainly a lot less popular during the 4G rollout days. So faster internet speeds for everyone, faster mobile internet speeds for everyone is one goal, certainly. The other objective of 5G is to help usher in kind of a next wave of human technology interaction. So while past standards have been primarily based on human-to-human connection, 5G will need to power the growing Internet of Things. So the Internet of Things probably deserves its own episode of this show, and I'm sure we will get to it one day. But we can summarize the idea by saying that the emergence of things like self-driving cars, in-home automation devices, and smart commercial manufacturing will mean that humans will be communicating with devices on a whole new level. So 5G needs to be there to power the Internet of Things as well. So that's why we need 5G. And for some of you that might have been obvious, some of you that might have been new, but why we need 5G is only one part of the equation. How are we going to get 5G and when are we going to get it are two important questions as well. So the time frame looks like this. 5G testing will reach a global scale this year, and this next generation of mobile networks is expected to be fully rolled out by 2020. While the debate for what should be included in the 5G standards continues, as in we have not fully agreed upon what 5G technically means yet, it is becoming clear that the new networks will be based on the use of millimeter wave bands. So these bands, which include radio frequencies in the spectrum from 30 to 60 gigahertz, have previously not been used for wireless internet access. We're tapping into kind of a new spectrum of wave bands that are, for these purposes, relatively untouched. So who's going to be bringing these things to us? Who's going to be delivering this technology into our next few generations of cellular devices? Well, it's shaping up to be a kind of combination of the telecom giants and the semiconductor giants, all kind of working on their own projects at once. So let's start with the semiconductors. Just to highlight a few names, I mean, there's all going to be names everyone's recognizing out there. These are the real leaders in the industry. Qualcomm, for example. In fact, Qualcomm actually released its initial 5G chip design in October, and the company's new Snapdragon X50 5G modem project promises to power early 5G networks by supporting operation in the 28 gigahertz millimeter wave band. Intel is another company that's forging its path through collaborating on standards protocols, as well as the development and deployment of new technologies. Intel's projects in this kind of realm are its network function virtualization and software-defined networking architectures. Other companies, other chip makers, Ericsson, Nokia, investing heavily in their own 5G prototypes. But regardless of who becomes the big winner here, we should expect all of these companies and many, many, many more to play a huge role in the governing bodies that will set the 5G standards. People going to be involved in that also include the telecom giants. So let's take a look at what's going on kind of in that realm of things. A couple weeks back, AT&T announced that it was buying Straight Path Communications for more than $95 per share, which was a 160% premium to its previous closing price at the time. And just today, shares of Straight Path jumped again on the news that the company received a superior offer to that from an unnamed suitor. So why in the heck are telecom players willing to shell out so much cash for a relatively small firm like Straight Path? Well, its value actually lies in its portfolio of spectrum licenses that could help the telecom giants become a leader in the 5G race. So earlier this year, AT&T made a very similar move. They scooped up a company called Fiber Tower. It was a small company that owns licenses in the 24 gigahertz and 39 gigahertz bands. So again, these kind of millimeter waves, these bands that we think are going to play a factor in the 5G rollout. So as a point of reference, just so we can get a scale to these things, telecom companies measure their network's reach with a figure called megahertz pop, which is calculated by multiplying the amount of bandwidth by the potential number of people covered. The Fiber Tower acquisition helped AT&T gain a valuable 8.1 billion megahertz pop of 39 gigahertz spectrum. Straight Path currently has 39.7 billion megahertz pop of 28 gigahertz spectrum and 175.9 billion megahertz pop of 39 gigahertz spectrum. Of course, AT&T isn't the only person making moves here. There's this mystery suitor out to snag Straight Path from right out under him. Other companies have already made moves on acquiring their own licenses. Verizon, for example, owns nearly 200 million megahertz pop of 28 gigahertz spectrum. T-Mobile owns about 100 million megahertz pop of that spectrum. I mean, this is the real deal. These people are really investing in these spectrum licenses, and it's going to be kind of a race over the next few years of who can scoop up the most. So plenty of these big name companies are investing in this technology, real cold, hard, serious cash right now. But how big of a deal is this really? How could we conceptualize this? Let's look at some data. According to IHS research, the global economic impact of 5G will be fully felt by 2035, which for the long-term focused investors out there, not that far away. By then, about $12.3 trillion worth of goods and services will be enabled by 5G networks. Nearly 22 million jobs will be created by new demands in the labor force related to 5G. And the rollout of 5G will add approximately $3 trillion to the worldwide GDP. This is world-changing stuff, guys. For all the investors out there, you don't want to miss out on the next world-changing emerging tech trend. But hey, maybe I'm overstating it. Maybe I'm thinking a little bit too far in the future. What do you think? Are you guys buying into 5G right now? If not, what are you focusing on? Shoot me an email. Any other things you'd like me to talk about on the Tech Talk Tuesdays, or if you thought I missed something today, shoot us an email, podcast@zax.com. You can also check out all of our exclusive audio content at zax.com/podcast. Remember to subscribe and leave us a rating on Apple Podcasts if you enjoyed the show. Thanks again for joining us, and we will see you next time on the Zax Tech Talk Tuesday show.